Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Cucchiara.
Welcome in. This is Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. As we continue on through the week, our topic today will be a couple different things I'm going to cover. And who should you have on your team as trusted advisors is going to be the first part of the show. The second part is going to be with the rates coming up they have in the last month or so, who could still benefit with a refinance or by refinancing? Some people automatically think that with the rates coming up a little bit, now there's no reason to refinance, but I'll share with you some people that should still think about refinancing depending on their situation. Before we get started, just a reminder, if you need to contact me, you could do that by calling area code 408-838-9060. You can also go to RERadiolive.com. If you need any financing, mortgages for purchases, refinancing, I'm the person that can help you with that. Anytime, reach out and let me know if you have questions, concerns, whatsoever. Also, if you have in the need of a trusted advisor, which we're going to talk about today, if you're in need of a real estate agent, maybe a CPA, financial planner, real estate attorney, anyone like that, I could help with referrals on those. So be sure to contact me, and also be sure to give us a review when you can for the podcast. All right, let's talk a little bit. The first part of the show, I want to talk about the trusted advisors. Who should you have on your team in general? And this is not just specifically to real estate. The show is about real estate for sure. But these people you should really have on your team, regardless of if you do one real estate transaction your entire life, or if you're a person who has several properties, or you do several transactions per year. I'm going to talk about the people you really should have on your team. One is a realtor, and a good realtor, and someone that is there for you not only when you're working a transaction for a home, if you need to buy, sell, or different transaction. I'll tell you where a good realtor could also help you. That is if you're looking for maybe a landscaper, or maybe you're looking for a contractor, you're looking for a plumber, a handyman. I mean, I could refer some of those people to you as well, but usually realtors have some really good contacts for people like that. You may be a gardener, someone that needs to do any type of work in and around your home. Good realtors have some good resources, as I do. Some of them do not. But when you find one that has some really good resources, that's who you should stick with. But first and foremost, find a realtor that you trust, one that is going to have your best interests at hand, and one that I would call that is, in all these cases, I would call relational instead of transactional. There's a lot of people in our business, both the mortgage side and the real estate side, that I would consider more transactional. What does that mean? That means someone that is more focused on you for a commission instead of you for a relationship and what they could do best for you in your situation. So be careful of that. The signs are when people ask questions about you, what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your goals are, what your aspirations, these are the types of things that you know someone's probably heading in the right directions with that relationship. If someone seems to be hurried, or they can't wait to get you to sign a contract, or they don't have time to listen to you, they just tell you, let's get going, let's get started, don't hesitate. Those would be red flags for me. Be very careful when working with anyone that seems to be rushing you into something or just focused on getting a commission. So realtors, number one, not necessarily in this order. Also, let's talk a little bit about a CPA, a qualified CPA, and someone. I can't say enough about this topic, and I have had some personal experience myself recently. I had the same CPA for 25 plus years. Very good, very capable, did a great job. But as my wife started growing her real estate business, and I have this radio podcasting business, there was more availability for me to potentially write off and have some tax deductions. The CPA I'd been working with for all those years, when I kept bringing it up to him after several years, he really kind of shined it off and said, no, it's really not. You really can't do that. And, there's not much you could do. And it turns out it's not because he wasn't a good CPA. It's just that he was very busy and he didn't really focus. That wasn't his focus. So I was fortunate enough to find someone that was referred to me through another business partner, a real estate agent, matter of fact. And long story short, I spent some time with him. I sent over my 2012, 13, 14 tax returns to him a year or so ago. He did a complete summary review. Not only was able to get me a lot of money back, a substantial money back over those 3 years, but was able to restructure my planning in a big way going forward that makes a big difference for tax planning. So I can't say enough about the right CPA. So many people are so afraid and super conservative when it comes to their taxes. And I'm not suggesting you push the envelope or do something that's not legal, but there's a lot of things you'd be surprised you could do out there with your taxes if you are self-employed, if you have a corporation, or if you have a side business. I'll be the first one to admit, if you are a W-2, straight W-2 income earner, it's going to be a little bit difficult because there's not a whole lot you could do. You have some write-offs. You're always going to get your property tax, mortgage insurance, things like that. But over and above that, that's tough if you're W-2. But if you're 1099, self-employed, sole proprietor, corporation, any of those types of things, please make sure that you secure yourself a relationship with a CPA that's going to take full advantage of the tax benefits. I could tell you that the mistake that people make is this when you're self-employed. You focus way too much on earning income and not enough about saving that income and tax benefits. If you could improve your taxes, think about it. If you could improve your tax base or your tax deduction or your ability or your potential by 5 to 10% a year, not each year over and over. I'm talking about, let's say you made a good sum of money and you were able to save 5 to 6 to 7% of that in taxes because you weren't educated in it. A lot of people will focus more on income. How do I make more income? Which is great. You don't want to stay away from that. I'm not suggesting that you say, not focus on making income. I'm saying that make sure that you have the best CPA possible that's going to do really an audit of what you have today. And if you don't think you're getting the benefits, give me a call. I have some great referrals for CPAs, or maybe you want to venture out and find someone yourself. I would suggest if you don't think you're getting the benefits of your taxes, reach out and interview some CPAs and find out who's going to be able to help you. I could tell you it was a world of difference for me, and I know it's been a world of difference for several other people that I know personally and business-wise that has, really made a difference in their income and tax ability by securing the right CPA. Lastly, the other person you want to have on the team is a financial planner, someone that is going to help manage your money. Now, early on, sometimes this is not necessary, I'll admit. If you're just getting started and you're developing a 401k and you really don't have anything right now, probably not that necessary. I would say once you start getting in the range of maybe $200,000 to $300,000 dollars in investable assets or savings, or you come into some money maybe through who knows what types of means. If you have somewhere around $200,000 or $300,000 in investable assets, this is when you should probably start seeking out a qualified financial planner. Now, some people might say, well, I do that myself. I want to save in fees. I don't trust them. And I get all that. I mean, there's no free anything. There are fees associated with financial planning. Sometimes it's fee-based. Others, they will make money on the actual investments. Sometimes someone will charge 1% or 2% of what they manage. So if they manage $1 million, they're going to take a 1 or 2% annually of that, and that's how they get their fees paid. So that's not a right or wrong in the model. What I will say, though, is if you get the right one and they put together a plan for you, it could be very beneficial to help you plan and set goals for the future of retirement, maybe education. If you're getting started before you have a family and you plan to start a family, what about the cost of college? It's expensive. Actually, one of the things that surprised me is we started saving for small amounts for college, and then I had no idea that our kids were going to go to private schools. And what a surprise was that. I mean, it was, I had no idea because I didn't plan for that. It's a perfect example. So these are the types of things are why they're so important to sit down and plan with someone and find someone that you trust, someone that's going to help you. Again, I'll say before we, duck out for our first segment here on the show is that I could refer any of these people to you. I have some wonderful CPAs that I would refer. I have some outstanding financial planners. I have some outstanding real estate agents. Those are the primary three, I would say. Now, as an extension, you have real estate attorneys, you have contractors, other people like that. You should have part of your team, depending on what you're doing and what kind of your need. If you have a lot of rental properties and you have a lot of properties that you manage, then maybe property managers. These are different elements of your team that you could build as you go. But the primary three, to summarize again, what I would say is make sure you have a good realtor that you can count on. Make sure you have a good CPA that just help managing your taxes and doing the best you can with your taxes. And then lastly, make sure you have an outstanding financial planner that's going to help you grow and plan for the future. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the topic is going to switch to, with the rates going up, who still benefits from a refinance? Again, this is 𝗘𝗀𝗁𝗘 with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. If you want any information about mortgage financing, I am the person to help you with that. Area code 408-838-9060, or you could always go to the website and contact me at 𝗪radiolive.com. We'll be back to continue in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit 𝗪radiolive.com. That's 𝗪radiolive.com.
Hi, this is 𝗘𝗀𝗁𝗘, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at 𝗪radiolive.com, or visit my website at 𝗪radiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit 𝗪radiolive.com. That's 𝗪radiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, 𝗘𝗀𝗁𝗘.
Welcome back in. This is 𝗘𝗀𝗁𝗘 with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. Our first part of the show, the topic was who should you have as trusted advisors? I went through that quickly. A realtor, CPA, financial planner is the primary. As we dive into the next topic, it's going to be, with the rates going up, who could still benefit from a refinance? That's a question I'll throw out there. Who and why could you benefit, or how could a person benefit from a refinance? Someone might say, well, gee, the rates are up almost 0.5% or more, Joe. Why would you benefit? So we're going to get into that. Before I do that, just a reminder, if you want to contact me, any needs you have for financing, for purchases, refinancing, anything at all, contact me at area code 408-838-9060. Also go to 𝗪radiolive.com. I would love to have you give us a review on iTunes, or right from our website. You could get that. And pass on the podcast and the information to your friends, family, and coworkers. I'd love to have you do that. Okay, let's jump back in, talk about who could benefit from the rates still going up with a refinance. Let me tell you probably the single most important thing that I'm seeing, and what most people should be doing regardless of the rates right now in many cases. That is, if you have a second loan, if you have a home equity line of credit, or if you have a fixed second, or if you have another lien on your property as a second or third lien, that should be a heavy consideration to refinance and consolidate those into one loan. And here's the reason why. Even if your interest rate is in the low 4s, let's say you have an interest rate right now that's, let's say you did really well and you have an interest rate that's 3.5 or 3 5/8, depending on the loan amount. It's a great rate. You hate to get rid of it. And let's say the 30-year fix now is at 4%. You're looking at it, you're going, gosh, it's a 0.5% higher, maybe, a little less, but then you have an equity line sitting on your property, and maybe you owe $200,000, and this equity line is about to recast because you've had it for 10 years. This happens anytime you get a home equity line of credit. By the way, most of the terms, it's an equity line draw, and you could use it to whatever you want, whatever the max is. The thing is, though, it recasts in 10 years, so it's amortized for 25 or 30 years, but it's fixed for 10. So what happens at the end of 10 years if you don't do anything? Let's say you have a $200,000 loan out on your equity line, and you're paying an interest-only payment on it. And I'm just going to guess. It's going to be pretty low. Could be, $175, $200 a month, interest only. Seems to be really good. And it is, but the problem is you're not paying any principal on that loan, so it's not reducing at all. So you're making the minimum payment. 10 years later, it's like a credit card. It's going nowhere. You're making the interest payment only. It's going nowhere. You're not paying any principal down. When that loan recasts, what happens is this. It goes to a 20-year amortized loan because you've already had it for 10, and then it goes to a principal and interest payment. So in some cases, your payment could double, triple, quadruple, believe it or not. I've seen some people's payments go from $400, $500, $600 a month to $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 a month with one adjustment. And the reason why is there's two things that happen. It gets amortized for 20 years, which means it's shorter payoff period, which means your payment goes up. And then your payment goes to a principal and interest payment. It's no longer just an interest only. So it's a shock and it's a wake-up call for a lot of people when you get those statements saying that's, indicating that your loan will be recasting. And they give you enough notice, so they'll let you know 5, 6, 7, 8 months in advance that your loan is due to recast and reset. And so you want to do something with that. And you don't want to have that outstanding on your property if you could help it. So if you have a home equity line of second, if you have a fixed second, if you have any kind of lien on your property other than a first fixed, this is the reason why you still might want to refinance, even at a higher interest rate. Because if that payment on the second doubles, triples, quadruples, and increases your payment that much, that's going to be substantial each month, each and every month, if you're paying $400 or $500 a month more, let's say, for instance. On top of that, remember what happens is it's really a triple whammy. You have the recast, you have the principal and interest payment now instead of interest only, and the third part of that is that it's an adjustable rate. It's not fixed. So as the Fed comes in and starts raising the prime, and she probably will, the rumor is that they'll be raising the prime come next year, maybe once or twice or 3 times. Each time they raise the prime lending rate, those rates do affect your home equity line of credit and your credit cards. So really important, very important. If you're listening to this and if you have a home equity line of credit or you know someone that does, someone you care about that does, talk to them about it and have them give me a call and look at it and see. Maybe if you intend to pay it off, then not a big deal. Some people have a small equity line of credit. Maybe it's $20,000, $30,000. They say, I have a great rate on my first. I don't want to pay it off. And that makes sense. So maybe they're going to make some excess payments and take care of that thing in a year or so and pay it down or pay it off. And that does make sense. So that is one of the primary reasons I'm seeing people take advantage of refinancing when the rates are up. The other one is a need for money. There are some people that finally have enough equity in their home, or maybe they're in a financial position where they want to add on to their home, maybe upgrade the bathroom or kitchen or do that addition they've always wanted to do. Now's a great time to do that. And by doing that, you could cash out, take the money out, and again, you would be paying a higher interest rate. Someone might be saying, Joe, well, I got this 3 5/8 or 3 3/4 interest rate. I need $200,000 or $300,000 to do this remodel. Why don't I just get a home equity line of credit, or maybe get it, take it from my savings or take it from my retirement? And I'm not suggesting that that may not be a bad idea. But what I am suggesting is that you sit down with your financial planner and your CPA possibly, and then I'd be happy to talk through this with you as well. What is the better alternative for you? Don't automatically think just because you have this great interest rate on the first that you shouldn't do a refinance, cash out, and pay a little higher interest rate on all the money. Don't automatically think that's the worst thing to do. And the reason I'll suggest I say that is that when you do a blended rate, for instance, let's just say that one of your considerations is, I'll leave my first alone. It's at 3 3/4. It's a great interest rate. I don't want to refinance again. I just did this 2 years ago. I'll take $300,000 from my investments. This gets complicated. First of all, you might have fees and penalties that you're going to pay for taking that money. Secondly, do you realize when you take $300,000 from your investments, you're taking $300,000 of investing potential away from the marketplace? And that could be costing you 6, 7, 8% a month annually that you could have gained on that $300,000. So don't automatically think that doesn't make sense to refinance even if you're paying a higher interest rate on your mortgage. Here's the other reason. Remember, your mortgage interest is 100% deductible. Your property tax is 100% deductible. If you lose money, it may not be deductible. Maybe there's some write-offs there. I'm not a CPA. I can't tell you that one way or another, but don't automatically think that refinancing for a higher interest rate is a bad thing. I know that sounds funny. Someone listening might be going, it doesn't make sense, but believe it or not, there are times when it does make sense. And this could be one of them. So always check with your financial planner and get a tax advice before you make decisions like this. But I see it on a fairly regular basis. When we run the numbers and I illustrate with people in writing, not emotionally, but in writing, why it makes sense to pay a higher interest rate, and then they see it on paper and they realize it's a right thing to do. I'll give you another example. For whatever reason, let's say someone got into trouble or issues, whatever, who knows, there's no judgment, and all of a sudden you have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt, and you're paying 12, 13, 14% interest rate on credit cards. You'll never get those paid off in a relatively short period of time if you make that minimum payment. It's all going towards interest. That might be another time. If you have a first loan that's maybe in the high 3%, you're saying, Joe, I don't want to refinance and pull cash out. I got this great first loan. Well, you do, but in the meantime, you have these lousy credit card terms that are costing you dearly each month. And guess what? There's no tax deduction benefits for it. So I see this also. Someone wants to consolidate debt. Maybe they owe money. Maybe I've seen family situations where there's assets divided and someone now owes another party a certain amount of money to a family member. Would be another good time to take cash out, do a refinance, pay that person off, and again, you're going to have your mortgage write-off and your tax benefits from a tax perspective. So that's another one. Credit card debt, high interest debt, remodeling. I see that on a fairly regular basis. The other one that comes up from time to time, believe it or not, is this one, and I'll tell you why this makes sense quickly before we go here today, and that is, let's say someone really falls in love with a home that they're going to retire in somewhere near the beach, and they're in their primary residence still, and they're not going to be in this residence for another 2 or 3 years because they know they're going to retire near the beach. And so they want to access some cash and equity. Great time to look at pulling it out of your primary residence. And even though you're paying a higher interest rate, guess what? You're not going to be in that house for a while. You're going to sell it in a couple of years and retire at a different location. And that could be the cheapest form of money. So it's another great way or reason. So these are some great reasons just to jog the memory, get it thinking. Is there any reason why would you, with rates going up, these are some great reasons why a person still would want to refinance and would be in their best interest to do so. All right, we're going to wrap things up for the day. Just a reminder, if you need anything in financing, mortgage, purchases, refinance, give me a call, 408-838-9060. As always, you could go to @RERadiolive.com. There you could contact me. And also do me a favor, give us a review and let us know how we're doing. This is 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗁 with Real Estate Radio Live. Take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.